Also to just introduce that we now have Sheila Maonga joining us also to just have this conversation. Sheila, let me start with you and your thoughts on how the government is handling this and the fact that we have 1,000 doctors who are trained, ready to go into the workforce, unemployed both by the county or national government, but at the same time trying to import doctors from Cuba.
I would say this is adding insult to injury. It is something that this decision to import these medics from Cuba is something that the government cannot justify in any form. We've just seen the news clip there that says the government is bringing these people from Cuba for two reasons. One, to build the capacity, and another thing to fill in the gaps. Now, those are weak excuses. Why do we need strangers who do not know the cultural nuances in place in Kenya, who have not gone through the Kenyan medical system? Why do we need them to come and build our capacity? Why don't we build the capacity of our own doctors ourselves? We've got 1,000 who are out there who have got no jobs. We've got more that are being trained. So the 1,000 number that we're speaking about, it is just about now. But this, by the end of this year, there'll be more graduating, and there'll be more. There's always students graduating with medicine degree. So what are we going to do with them? Why are we going to Cuba? That's the other question. And when we say we're filling the gaps, why don't we fill these gaps with our own people? Why are we bringing people from outside? And of course, the big question is why Cuba? There must be a political decision somewhere there why we chose Cuba and not any other country. And then saying a 2-year contract, what are the rules of engagement here? But the whole thing is just wrong, it's immoral, it's unethical, and it's just it's impunity, showing our trained doctors that, you know what, we'll train you, we'll take you through our universities, you're one of us, but when it comes to giving you jobs that will not only build the country, but it will also build you at a personal and career level, we don't value you.
We're not ready to do that.
Yeah, so it is wrong, very wrong.
Do you think that the government possibly has a point somewhere in building capacity? Because from what that statement said is they're trying to get specialized treatment. And, well, one would wonder why we cannot train our own.
Well, I'd like to start off by saying it's really unfortunate that we have professionals, young men and women who've gone through the education system, studying medicine or whatever other courses, but they're still unable to find work. It is really unfortunate, and my heart goes out to those two individuals whose story has been highlighted by KTN. It's really sad, and I think a lot more needs to be done in terms of ensuring that our young people have hope in education, they have hope in the employment structures within the country. I'd, however, like to take a departure from what Sharon has intimated, because the problem is not so much about the professionals. It is how we are managing our health system as a country, and particularly after the devolution of health services. Because we had this discussion before where I intimated on the circumstances, the prevailing circumstances, where before health was devolved, it was the national government that was responsible, one, for the training, and secondly for the deployment, and third for the paying salaries for the doctors. So what used to happen from the information I have is that the national government will know that within this particular year you have 1,000 doctors graduating, and this is their specialization. So within given these structures, they know that we have 1,000 doctors to put into the payroll, to absorb, and then we know which areas will require how many, that kind of speciality. But then now the problem comes in where health has been devolved, and now it is the county governments that are now responsible for the recruitment and paying of doctors. So what happens is you have a county that perhaps has not even prioritized health as one of the issues they'd like to focus on. So then you have a county government again that might not be able to pay particular doctors. And of course, all those underlying issues of politics and tribalism take place. So that now you have individuals graduating, but because county governments have not built their capacity to absorb those graduates, it has not built their capacity to ensure that it has proper systems and structures on how it wants to pay these particular doctors. So then you have an imbalance. Because you go to any county today, there's going to be a shortage of doctors. Okay, you go to a hospital, you're going to be told we have a few number of doctors as the ratio of patients. So there is a problem, but it's not so much about about politics and whatnot. It is about how county governments, the preparations and the foundation that the county governments and the national government has built in terms of absorption and paying of salaries. So then now we move to the question on Cuba and specialized doctors. So how many neurosurgeons do we have in Kenya trained within our institutions, countable? So when the government says that it's bringing in professionals, it's not bringing in the normal doctors that we have. What they're saying is that we're bringing in specialized doctors.
Okay.
And these are individuals who are going to be posted where? In hardship areas. But then the trade-off comes in, which is also part of international relations and international undertakings, where now we also have our doctors from here who are being taken to Cuba to study these specialized courses, neurosurgery, to be specific, if I could.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of info, and maybe, I don't know if you hold brief for...
I want to respond to that as well.
Yes, very briefly, because I want us to look at another story.
I would believe that everything is political. When you mention national government and county governments, and then you say it's not political, that is not very true. Politics is at the heart of it. When the payment and everything and the national government, anything that involves the county government and everything, politics always comes at the heart of it. And that's why we have doctors going on strike and all that. And all the problems you have mentioned, I do appreciate them. But now to say that for this problem to be solved, we have to bring in specialists from elsewhere who do not even understand the genesis of these problems. It's a bit of putting one and one together and coming up with four.
But what solutions then would there be if we're not bringing in this specialized treatment? Because there is a gap, and the gap here is especially on specific specialized areas. Like she has mentioned, maybe neurosurgeons. I don't know how many we have. There's a time we were doing a survey, and even, for instance, urologists. We have, I think, maybe very few in the country, countable, literally on one hand. So how do we fill that gap?
We fill that gap by training our own people. Simple.
Training takes time.
It takes time. Even what happens in the interim, the thing is that when you bring other people, I believe that we can train our own people here. The thing is that when you bring these other people in here, I am dubious about the training actually taking place. I believe that sometimes it's about setting the precedent. So now we'll bring the first 20 here for 2-year contract. The next year we'll bring, because even if we say training takes a long time, these people are only here for 2 years. Would 2 years suffice for a training to have happened? So what's going to happen after 2 years? So the whole thing is not adding up.
All right, well, I guess we'll wait and hear how the government is going to handle this. But there you go, that's a problem that we have in the country. And looking now at other stories, the recent announcement, or rather the East African signing sensation, bongo artist Diamond Platnumz was arrested for allegedly posting pictures that are claimed to breach cultural rules. And Diamond may have gotten himself in trouble over Instagram posts of himself kissing a woman, although unconfirmed reports say that he may have posted more offending pictures alongside that one. Tanzanian Communication Minister Harrison Mwakwembe says that the parliament, that the images project acts that go against the law that bans such acts. Reports indicate police are also looking for bongo artist Nandi over suspicious posting similar photos. President John Magufuli recently complained about obscenity in music videos.
Chungu Mr. Bini, wapi bambo, wale wasamiaji wa melini, wase wa ngambo, ifiyo kwa Benjamini, wa mambo jambo, wa Vietnamu wa porini, vita na raho, ndanda mjela jela, kidali kombolela, maxi na zembwela, yumanecha na pela,
You are fans of, Diamond Platnumz. I can see Sandra shaking her head, so I don't know if that's a familiar song. But anyway, is that your style of music? Let's start with the style of music before with what has actually happened.
I actually like Diamond songs. I believe I love songs that are in Kiswahili, songs that promote a lot of our heritage. So I do, and I think he's done great as a musician. But on personal level, when it comes to conduct, social conduct and all that, there's lots of questions there.
You're not his biggest fan
Not
in
my
that
biggest
area.
fan. No, not my biggest fan in the area. I think he's someone that can...
But one might argue and say that for the caliber and the kind of music he does, that basically goes, it's like they say the beast comes with a smell. So that goes with the kind of music that he does. That's basically, like branding, so to speak.
I think that's very wrong branding when you objectify women. So any kind of branding that comes with women being sexual objects, that shouldn't be any form of branding, and people shouldn't make money on the back of objectifying women. So with what has happened with him now being arrested, I think that's quite a good thing to happen. It's a good thing. It will teach him a lesson on boundaries a little bit. I believe that he shouldn't be the only one arrested. There are many other musicians that do the same thing over and over again. It's just about having boundaries and being a little bit respectful. But I believe, the thing I question is, was he arrested because of that, or was there other issues that led to this arrest? Because sometimes people can use that as an excuse to arrest him. But in terms of him posting pictures of, I haven't seen the pictures themselves. So, but I'm thinking if he posted pictures out there of him frolicking with women and them breaching cultural boundaries, the question is he aware of these cultural boundaries? Is this the first time he's done something like this?
Well, I do know that at some point his music had been pulled off the local television stations and local airing because of the what should I call it? They were claimed to be out of the cultural norms. So it's not the first time he is having a brush with the law. Sandra, your comments on this?
My preference first, I'm a dancehall and reggaeton kind of girl. But
well,
I
surprise, surprise.
But I do appreciate bongo music, and I think he's a young man that has done so much for himself. But I think, yes, the arrest, for me, there's much more. It's very easy to look at it from face value, but I think it's also a reflection of where we are as a society. And what, as we are starting the conversation, I was asking myself, are we becoming more sexualized than we were before, or we've always been this way? It's just that now the media is highlighting it, and people are talking about it much more. And the first thought I had was there was this hashtag, ifikie wazazi, you know?
Yeah.
So that to a point where you have a generation that finds it very, very okay to make it so public, like it's become so normalized. And we are seeing this, the kind of conversations we have, radio, the kind of scenes we are seeing on TV, the kind of conversations we are seeing our young people engaging in. So it's not entirely diamond for me. It's a reflection of where we are as a society. And I think I'd consult a sociologist to get to understand exactly what
is happening. And maybe before we move on to the next, you live in the UK.
Yes.
What are some of the boundaries and regulations? Would this be termed or viewed as something that you would be arrested for?
No, you wouldn't be arrested for this at all. At all. We have a lot of nudity in social media out there. What happens is that the radio channels or the TV channels that are considered to be a bit prudish, the ones that are not, they're about conservative, just wouldn't air it. But you'll not be arrested on that. But then again, we don't have strong cultural notions in the UK. It's kind of like a liberal society.
Right.
And that is, I'm now torn between this. Yes, Diamond has been arrested, but I believe it shouldn't be just on the basis that he was shown kissing a woman. Kissing happens out there. It is not something that, should shock people.
But apparently there are other pictures that maybe that.
But then did he put the pictures there himself, or did the pictures were put there somehow by someone else?
Well, on his Instagram, so it is assumed that it is his account.
So for that reason, you have to respect the people in the place. But for me, when it comes to a lot of these things, I just look at the sexualization of the women mainly. But I'll be more offended with Diamond, not for putting the pictures out there. I'm more offended with Diamond only using light-skinned, kind of mixed-race type of women and never the proper black women. That offends me more, and that should be more of an arrestable offense.
I guess that debate could go on and on and on, but there you go now. What